So here's the top 15 running backs heading into Week 10. So this is the top 30 rankings. Number 1, Alvin Kamara. It was between him or Cook at this one. But Kamara versus San Francisco, I think he'd have a huge game because Cook's at Chicago. But anyway, Kamara, what a season it's been for him. He's catching the ball. He's getting 100 yards plus each and every week from scrimmage. Last week, I know he didn't do much because that game just got out of hand early and often. But this week in a plus matchup versus San Francisco, Kamara could explode for a 35 to 40 point fantasy day. So he's the number 1 running back of the week. Number 2, Dalvin Cook. What a season and what a beast this guy is each and every week now. He's putting up multiple touchdowns and he's cracked 40 fantasy points 2 weeks in a row. Last week, 206 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for Cook. This guy's a man on a mission. He wants his money. It's a free agent year, and he's going to be great. And this week, I know it's a tough matchup, but it don't matter. He's matchup proof, and who knows, Cook, he might explode for 40-plus again. The third guy's Aaron Jones. It was nice to see him come back in a little bit of a limited capacity last week versus San Francisco, where he finished the day with 13 fantasy points in PPR leagues. So Jones, he should be almost 100% now from the calf injury that he went last week on a short week. And now he had the 10 days off to rest heading into Sunday. And he's got a great matchup versus Jacksonville. Teams are running and passing all over him. And Jones, we saw him have a 45-point fantasy day early in the year. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but he's got the potential to do it in this matchup. Number 4 is Derrick Henry. The monster, King Henry it is. The last few weeks, his numbers have gone down a little. And this week, he's got a pretty tough matchup versus a stout Indianapolis Colts defense that is in top 5 in the least amount of points given up to running backs. But this is a guy with breakout potential also, where he could explode for 200 yards on the ground any given week and score multiple touchdowns. So Henry, don't worry about him. This time of the year is where he really gets going anyway in these colder weeks and months. So tonight, I think Henry has a big game versus Indy, so I got him ranked 4. Number 5 is James Robinson, the undrafted rookie. What a season he's had this year for Jacksonville. Everyone thought it was a mistake where they cut Leonard Fournette and just let him walk, but this kid's the real deal is Robinson. He's a hard-nosed player. He don't give up. He keeps going. And last week, once again, 99 yards on the ground and a touchdown, a 15 fantasy day. It seems like his low is 15, so this guy's got potential each and every week to score 15 to 30 points. And this week, he's got a good matchup on paper at least. Green Bay gives up the most fantasy points to running backs. So you know the rookie going into Green Bay, Lutton, he's going to rely on Robinson to take pressure off. So Robinson, I could see him have a 30-point fantasy day with the catches and stuff because this guy's an underrated receiver out of the backfield too. Number 6, Miles Sanders. Welcome back. Sanders has been off a few weeks, but this week he comes back for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's got a great matchup at the New York Giants. And Sanders, he usually eats versus the Giants, and this week I think he'll have a good game. We saw Sanders show some speed and burst before he got injured with 2 breakout runs versus Pittsburgh and Baltimore in back-to-back weeks versus 2 tough defenses. So Sanders, you know, he's got home run hitting ability. And this week, we could see him hit one for a big touchdown versus the Giants. Number 7, James Conner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been consistent all year, but last week, I don't know if it was game flow or he was a little banged up. But Conner, he didn't do much. He finished the day with 4 fantasy points. And the Steelers, they spread the offense out to 5 wide the rest of that game versus Dallas. I guess they were picking at Dallas's weakness or whatever. But Conner, he didn't get many carries. I think he had 2 or 3 the whole second half. But this week versus Cincinnati, and especially if Ben ain't playing, I think Conner comes back with a vengeance and has a big game. Number 8, another guy coming back from injury. Welcome back, Nick Chubb. He's got Houston coming to town. Chubb, what a great running back he is. He got hurt in Week 4 versus Dallas with the MCL, but now he's back off the bye. I think the Browns, they're going to feed him and Hunt a lot in this game, especially if Baker's out and if the weather's bad. These guys are going to get a lot of carries, Hunt and Chubb. Chubb's got a great matchup this week versus Houston. I think he could get you 15, 20 points easily this week. So I got him as the number 8 guy. Number 9, Chris Carson. We've been waiting a few weeks now. Pete Carroll 2 weeks ago said Carson was 50-50 to play. He didn't play, obviously. Then last week, he didn't practice and play. But now Carroll says we got to wait and see for his status. And Carson, I like the matchup versus the Rams. But if you don't play DJ Dallas, it will be again in Homer in a split. And those guys, they've held the fort down pretty well. But they're no Chris Carson, who's a two-back threat out of the backfield, catching and running, obviously. So Seattle, I think they could use him and need him bad. They've lost the 2 out of the last 3 games where he's been out. So Chris Carson, if he plays, is number 9. Number 10, Josh Jacobs of the Vegas Raiders. Jacobs, the workload is great, but he's just not producing as good as I thought he would. But with volume alone, I got to put him at 10. But he was also on my bench list this week. So Josh Jacobs, saw him last week with 14 fantasy points, 80 yards total and a touch. He's not catching the ball much out of the backfield. And Booker and Rashard are getting more work as well, eating into his workload. But he'll still get the workload. We saw him 2 weeks ago in Cleveland get 31 carries. So I'm not worried about that. Just the production might be down for Jacobs. Number 11, Mike Davis. If you didn't drop Davis, good for you, because now he's the starter. I don't know for how long, but Christian McCaffrey, he got banged up versus the Chiefs with that shoulder and ribs. So Davis, he was putting up top 5 numbers the first few weeks he filled in for McCaffrey. And this week, I don't see any different. He's got Tampa Bay, who we just saw running backs have a good game versus. In Kamara and Latavius Murray, a decent game. And I like the matchup. Davis, he catches the ball. He's 3rd in receptions this year out of the backfield for running backs. So Mike Davis, he's going to get McCaffrey's workload. There's no backup that's going to threaten him. So I like Davis at 11. Number 12 is Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. Edmonds last week, I had him at 5. I thought he would have a huge game versus Miami at home. But Edmonds, he had a mediocre game. 11 fantasy points he had. And this week, Drake might come back also versus Buffalo. So that might be more of a split. This week, I'm going to lower my expectations for Edmonds. I still think he has a good game, but I'm putting him in number 12 this week. He's a good threat out of the backfield. But let's be honest, that offense is about Murray and Hopkins and Kirk to start. And then Edmonds, he'll be in there. But Edmonds, I still like his appeal. He's good in PPR. He'll get you maybe 15. So I got him at 12. Number 13 is DAndre Swift. And the thing about him, it's all about the carries for Swift. If he gets more than 15 a game, this guy's highly productive. And I know Adrian Peterson's there. He's had a great career and all. But I think it's time to give the rookie the keys to the backfield in Swift. I want to see him get 15, 20 touches because I know he could get the job done. And this week versus Washington, I think he could get the job done. We saw Wayne Gorman just come off 14 for 68 and a touchdown. So I think Swift's better than him and he could have a better game. So Swift, I got him at 13. Number 14 is Joe Mixon. The only thing with him, he hasn't practiced so far. And we're in Thursday already. So if he don't practice today, this could be trouble for Mixon. So if Gio Bernard's out there, go pick him up just in case. But Mixon, he would have a tough matchup at Pittsburgh, but still the volume in that backfield. If it's either him or Bernard, it's too good to turn down. And you got to go with volume sometimes, especially at the running back position where there's a lot of committees. But in Cincinnati, there's no committee. So if Mixon plays, I got him at 14. Number 15 is Leonard Fournette. Speaking of a committee, him and Ronald Jones are pretty much in one. But Fournette, the last few weeks, he's got more looks and more snaps. We know Fournette role as the 3rd down running back. That's set in stone already. So now with Fournette, he could just get better at rushing and running through the tackles. He'll take over. Last week, it was just off balance and not a good game script because of the blowout. But Fournette only had 1 attempt. But he added 6 catches for 41 yards, which definitely saved his fantasy day, especially in PPR leagues. Fournette, he's a big bruising back. He's had a decent career so far. He's a good receiver out of the backfield, which will keep him on the field a lot. But let's see if Fournette could take the reins here in the backfield. I got him at 15. Number 16, Jerry McKinnon. We saw he had dead legs, Shanahan said. But McKinnon last week was the bell cow versus the Green Bay Packers for the 49ers. And this week, I don't even have Hasty in the top 30. McKinnon, he got most of the carries. Hasty only had 5 touches the whole game. Raheem Mostert, it was announced he's not coming off IR this week. So it's going to be McKinnon once again in the backfield. And he's going to have a decent matchup versus New Orleans. But if the game does get out of hand, that's where McKinnon might not be that valuable. So I put him at 16. Number 17, J.D. McKissic. Yeah, I'm putting him over his teammate, Antonio Gibson. McKissic had 9 catches, 65 yards. This week in Detroit, McKissic versus one of his former teams. I think this is going to be a track meet as well. And McKissic, he had 14 targets. And Alex Smith now, the starting quarterback over there in Washington, he's the king of the check down. So that just puts McKissic's value up there more, in my opinion, than Antonio Gibson. So McKissic, I got 17. And now we'll get on to his teammate, Antonio Gibson. I got him number 18. Gibson, yes, he's going to get the in-between the tackles carries and most likely goal lines unless Peyton Barber vultures him. But the thing is, McKissic's playing more snaps. Washington, they're going to be trailing in a lot of games. And even in this one, I think they could be at times if Stafford plays. But anyway, Gibson, he's been decent. He's still a number 2 to flex this week. But I just don't have high as hopes as I did for him, like I did last week, so I got him at 18. Number 19 is Darrell Henderson of the Los Angeles Rams. He didn't practice yesterday, but I think it was another maintenance day for him. But I don't think his matchup's all that good, because versus Seattle, you got to keep passing that ball up and down the field. And the thing with Henderson, he don't give you anything pretty much in the receiving game. So if they're down early and often, it's going to be Brown and Akers getting those carries as well back there. And like I've been saying in other videos, I think Akers this week, no matter what, his role is going to be expanded. He's an impressive rookie. He's got to work on his blocking a little, but that comes with time for rookies. But that guy, he has 3 down back work as Akers, and we saw him in short spurts with limited carries, him putting in good numbers on yard per carry. So Henderson, his value's down. And this week, I don't see him having a crazy game. Now I got him at 19. Number 20, Duke Johnson. He's going to be the starter this week at Cleveland. It's a pretty solid matchup. The only thing with Johnson, I hope he can last 15, 20 carries. I know he's a veteran. I know it's his former team this week he's versing, so he wants to put on a good performance. There's no one else really over there in that backfield. So Johnson, he's going to get the work. We saw him last week get 16 carries, 41 yards and a touch, and 4 catches for 32 yards. And this is where the value hits with Duke, is the receiving yards out of the backfield. So this week he's got a good matchup, but I'm not going to skyrocket him into the top 10 or 15. I'll keep him at 20 right now. Number 21's Kareem Hunt. We know Nick Chubb is going to come back, but it don't matter. Kareem Hunt, he's still going to get work. They're going to run the ball even more if Baker Mayfield isn't playing in this game. So Kareem Hunt, he was putting up pretty solid number 2 running back numbers when Nick Chubb was playing. And as a starter, it was funny, his stats were worse than he was as a backup. But Hunt, he's still going to be a number 2 to flex running back. So I got him at 21. Number 22, J.K. Dobbins. After coming off a 113-yard rushing performance a few weeks ago versus a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense, last week versus even a tougher Indianapolis D, Dobbins, he didn't have that much of a fantasy day. But this week, there's rumblings Ingram might play, and Harbaugh expects him back, but I don't think or care about that. Dobbins, he's the best running back over there, and Gus Edwards, he's looked more productive as the in-between tackle guy than Ingram. So Dobbins, I'm firing him up as a number 2. New England, they're pretty decent versus the run, but I like Dobbins catching that ball out of the backfield. And this rookie, the time's now to play him. The burst is there, and the yards per carry on short work has been there as well. So I like Dobbins at 22. 23, Ronald Jones. Last week he started the game off as the starting running back in that ball game. And I like what Jones was doing until Arians benched him because of the fumble a few weeks ago with the Giants. Jones, he's not going to go away just like that. He's still going to have a good role. So Jones, he's still a flex to an RB2 this week in a pretty decent matchup versus Carolina. In Carolina, the next guy, Zack Morris, he's emerged now over the last few weeks, and we saw him last week with another touchdown. Singletary, I've been telling you for weeks to drop him. He hasn't done anything pretty much. And Morse at Arizona, he's good for a goal line chug. And also, I think he could start getting more passes out of the backfield as well. So he's a number 2 to flex start also at Arizona. Number 25 is Devonta Freeman. We've seen his replacement, Wayne Gallman, have pretty good fantasy days in his absence the last 2 weeks. But Freeman practiced on Wednesday. They signed him not to sit on the bench. So he's going to get the work and he's going to start. He's got a pretty decent matchup versus Philly. You know, he's going to want some revenge after rolling that ankle, after getting blown up on a blocking assignment. So Freeman, I like him as the 25th running back this week. 26, Melvin Gordon. I don't like him at all, really, but the work will be there than most of these other running backs at the bottom of the list. Gordon, he hasn't been getting many carries. Last week, only 8. But, you know, he's still going to get goal line, and he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield decent. And this Vegas and Denver game, it'll be pretty high scoring in my opinion. But Gordon, I can't expect much out of him except a weak flex to 10 points at most from him. But I got to rank him here 26 because he does get work. Number 27 is Damian Harris of the New England Patriots. We saw him leave the game on Monday night versus the Jets with a chest injury. But he was limited in practice on Wednesday, so he's going to play. You know he's going to have a role. He looks pretty impressive. I know Burkhead got some carries at the end of the game, and we know James White's there and Sony Michel looming in the background as he's back to practice. But Damian Harris, I still think he could get you 5 to 10 points, and if he could get 60 yards and a goal line touchdown, that's not bad for a flex or a number 2, so I got him at 27. 28's Kareem Ballage. We saw him come in for Justin Jackson, who pretty much is ruled out already, and it's only Thursday. We saw Anthony Lane say this week he's not going to play Jackson or practice. So it's going to be between Ballage and Pope and Kelly who came back. But Ballage, this guy was a high draft guy from the Miami Dolphins, but Adam Gase, another player he ruined. So he's bounced around to the Jets this year. Gase didn't like him there, so now the Chargers picked him up. And last week in relief, he looked like the way more effective back than Josh Kelly in that backfield. So Ballage, he's a big physical back. He could catch the ball out of the backfield better than Kelly. I think it might be a 3-headed timeshare to start the game, and then whoever has the hot hand is going to finish the game and get most of the work. But I like Ballage. He's got good upside, and I think he'll get the job done and come out as the backfield as the leading ball handler. Number 29, Phillip Lindsay. Him and Melvin Gordon, they didn't look good at all last week in a timeshare. Lindsay only had 2.5 fantasy points. But this week, I think it'll be brighter days for him and Gordon. They can't do any worse than that. They got a pretty decent matchup versus Vegas, who gives up a lot of fantasy points to running backs. So these guys, I got to have them on the list. So I'm going to put them in. And number 30 is Jonathan Taylor. I had him in my trade sell video for running backs. And this guy, I said dump him pretty much for anything. And tonight at Tennessee, I don't see him doing much. The most he's going to get you 5 to 10 points. We've seen the fumble problems. He injured the ankle also a few weeks ago, was Taylor. And now he's got a tough matchup versus a pretty good Tennessee defense versus the run. And I think he's going to get stuffed at the line. Wilkins, he's still going to get carries. And you know Hines, he's built in on that third down and passing downs back. So Jonathan Taylor, I don't like his output in this game. And he's a guy I'm going to stay away from. But if you're desperate and you got a lot of buys or whatever, and I know you spent a high draft pick in the first 3 or 4 rounds on Taylor and you got no choice to play him. But I just don't see him having good production. So that's the top 30 running backs I'm ranking heading into Week 10.